Today on the program, with the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, gas prices could go down, but very slowly. Stellantis is hiring aggressively to offer reliable cars. Linkenco has just unveiled an electric car that recharges in 4 minutes. And finally, could Opel and Alfa Romeo become Chinese? Well, discussions are underway in any case. Before starting this video, many of you have asked for it. Shifter Octane is now available on all podcast platforms. From Apple Podcasts to Spotify, including Deezer, you'll find all the links below the video, in the description, and in the pinned comment. The price of oil is falling. The Strait of Hormuz is reopening. A ceasefire is giving the market some breathing room. And suddenly the question is on everyone's lips again. Is the price of fuel finally going to drop at the pump? The answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, but not right away, not everywhere, and not too quickly. First of all, what's changing is that a 2-week ceasefire has been announced regarding the conflict involving Iran and the United States, with an immediate effect on the oil markets. At the same time, the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is giving a bit of relief to the global oil trade. As a result, the price of a barrel has dropped significantly, falling back below $100 today, between $93 and $95. So good news for drivers? Yes, in theory. According to UFIP, gasoline and diesel prices could drop by 5 to 10 cents at the pump in the coming days, or even within 48 hours if all goes well. But the first obstacle is what economists call asymmetric price transmission. In plain language, when oil prices go up, prices at the pump skyrocket. When oil prices go down, they drop like a wet feather. Increases are quick, decreases take their time. Because fuel retailers sell fuel at the price they paid for it.
En y ajoutant leur marge.
But many stations filled their tanks when prices were at their highest. So they have to sell off this expensive stock before they can fully pass on the decrease. Then there's the logistical effect. Even if Hormuz quickly becomes navigable again, tankers will take several weeks to reach the ports, then the refineries, and then the distribution networks. And then, another paradox, the drivers themselves can slow the decline. If everyone waits a few days before filling up to take advantage of an announced decrease, gas stations empty out more slowly. And if they empty out more slowly, fuel retailers are slower to reorder fuel bought at a lower price. So, let's be precise. Yes, a decrease seems possible in the very short term, around 5 to 10 cents. No, that doesn't mean an immediate return to pre-crisis prices. To return to a truly lower level, it will probably take several weeks, and only if the geopolitical calm holds. As we discuss numbers, remember the scale of the recent surge. Diesel in France went from an average price of 1.67 euros per liter, which was already huge, on March 1st to 2.39 euros per liter on Wednesday, April 8th. A decrease of 5 cents would bring this price down to around 2.30 to 2.35 euros per liter. It would be a relief, yes, but certainly not cause for celebration at highway rest stops. Stellantis, for its part, is completely changing its strategy. After the Carlos Tavares years, marked by massive staff reductions and an open obsession with profitability, the new management, now represented by Antonio Filosa, is doing the opposite. They are hiring a lot. The idea is to bring back expertise where cost-cutting has ended up leaving holes in the hull of the Stellantis ship. Because when you take away too many engineers, too much know-how, and too much flexibility from an industrial machine of this size, you quickly discover a wonderfully unpleasant truth. Quality doesn't come out of nowhere. This change in direction addresses very concrete problems. The PureTech issue has permanently damaged the manufacturer's image, not to mention the constant bugs and recalls. In short, Stellantis didn't just have a perception problem. The group had a problem with manufacturing, development, and bringing products to market. And that's where Antonio Filosa, the new head of the group, comes in. Under his leadership, 10,000 employees have been hired, and in a statement released in February, Stellantis explained that it had launched a major overhaul of its operations to better meet customer preferences and regain profitable growth. Above all, the group acknowledges something important and even rare in this kind of situation. Quality has declined. This overhaul comes at a huge cost. Stellantis estimates the charges recorded in the second half of 2025 for this recovery at around 22.2 billion euros, with a significant portion related to the revision of product plans, adjustments to the EV supply chain, and warranties. And management already claims to see some effects from its new approach, stating that the number of problems reported in the first month of vehicle use has dropped by more than 50%, North America and by more than 30% in Europe since the beginning of 2025. If these numbers hold up over time, they will tell a fairly simple story. When you put engineers back where there used to be an empty chair, cars sometimes stop behaving like forgotten prototypes left on a Friday night. Stellantis is trying to fix three things at once: its perceived quality, its actual quality, and its credibility. Because in the automotive world, where the slightest breakdown becomes a public trial and the smallest bug spreads at the speed of social media, the only currency that really matters at that point is trust. And while Europe is still debating whether electric cars are a revolution or a punishment, China has already moved on to a new topic. Now, the real battle has moved from traffic lights to charging stations. And in this contest of technological brutality, Linkenco has just made a splash with its new 10 and 10 sports sedans, unveiled yesterday, arriving with all the subtlety of a jackhammer to the backside. The standard 10 is built on an 800V architecture and has a 77 kWh battery with a claimed charging time from 10 to 80% in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. But the real show of strength is the higher-end version. Here it moves up to 900V, a 95 kWh battery, and numbers that seem almost impolite. Linkenco promises a 10 to 70% charge in 4 minutes and 22 seconds, then a 10 to 97% charge in 8 minutes and 42 seconds, with a peak charging power of 1,000 watts. 1 MW. And the most astonishing thing is that the power wouldn't drop after 80%, which is usually when batteries start to lose their appetite. And as if that wasn't enough, the 10 Plus adds the most absurd part: 2 motors, all-wheel drive, 912 horsepower, and 0 to 100 km/h in just 3.2 seconds. The maximum announced range climbs to 816 kilometers, but that's according to the Chinese CLTC cycle, which is as generous as a rug salesman. In Europe, you should rather expect around 700 kilometers. In China, prices range from 200,000 to 230,000 yuan, which is roughly 25,000 to 30,000 euros. And of course, if it arrives here, you'll have to add the painful import costs, taxes, and customs duties. One thing is certain: at Geely, this craze for ultra-fast charging shouldn't stop with Linkenco. Zyker, which shares the same technical platform, now sells 4 electric vehicles in France. So it wouldn't be surprising to see such charging capabilities arrive here around 2027 or 2028, assuming, of course, that our charging stations are able to deliver such power. And finally, Opel might soon be running on Chinese technology. And Alfa Romeo, that old hot-blooded Milanese aristocrat, is also starting to look toward Hangzhou. According to the latest leaks reported by Reuters, Stellantis is reportedly in advanced talks with Leapmotors to develop an electric Opel SUV produced in Figueruelas, near Zaragoza. The project even has a little lab name, O3. That's always a sign that things are really getting started. The idea is simple and almost brutally modern. The technical base would come from the Leapmotor B10. The Chinese would supply key electronics and electric drivetrain components, handle much of the development in China, while Opel would focus on exterior design. In short, the exterior would be German, but the vital components would speak Mandarin. Assembly could start in 2028 with a target of 50,000 units per year. And this isn't just an isolated whim. In addition to this O3U project, Stellantis is also reportedly considering using Leapmotor technology for the next Opel Mokka, with the added bonus of shifting production from France to Spain. And then there's the real thrill in this Alfa Romeo story. For now, we're only talking about preliminary discussions, but they do exist. You all know how preliminaries usually end. The possibility of a future Alfa Romeo model, also using a Leapmotor architecture in Zaragoza, is now on the table. And that's where it stings a bit, because between an Opel designed on a Chinese platform and an Alfa potentially fed by the same recipe. We're no longer talking about a simple opportunistic partnership. We're talking about a real shift. It must be said that Stellantis didn't end up at Leapmotor by chance. The group invested 1.5 billion euros in 2023 to become a strategic shareholder, with the very clear idea of taking advantage of a Chinese electric ecosystem that's faster, more agile, and above all, cheaper. The bottom line is Europe keeps selling its brand, while China is increasingly providing the mechanics of the future. And at this rate, the next Opel and Alfa Romeo might be born in Europe. Yes, but with a very strong Chinese accent. So is China the only solution to save a brand like Alfa Romeo? It's an open question. Tell me what you think in the comments. And of course, don't forget that now Shifter, Octane, is also available as a podcast version on all platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcast. At 10 a.m., you'll find all the links below the video, in the description, or in a pinned comment. Thank you all for watching this new video. Don't hesitate to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. Ciao